attention and really meant to show that the community is coming together along with law enforcement agencies to honor Officer Detective Justin Terry's life and legacy, serving our community for more than 20 years. He was a husband, a father, a friend to so many, also just a loving husband to his wife. We've learned that she described him as one of her best friends and someone she just really enjoyed to spend time with as well. We do want to show you a map for you this morning so you can see where this procession is heading. You can see it starts off at Palm Mortuary. That's toward the top of your screen. That's in downtown. It's going to head southbound on the 15 to Sahara. Then it'll go on Las Vegas Boulevard as it continues to make its way through the area, through the procession route. You will see roadways closed off in certain parts of the valley as it continues to make its way through, with several law enforcement agencies coming through the area as well. Eventually, it will hop on the 215 as it continues its way toward Central Church. Again, we are going to have several crews throughout the entire valley area showing you different portions of this. We do have a crew set up at Palm Mortuary. We also have a crew set up at Central Church, but also crews along the procession route as well to show you the marquees as they're lit up with his face for you to look at this morning. We also have a live look right now at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, where we have another crew set up here as people are gathering there to show their support for fallen Officer Detective Justin Terry. It's just a huge loss for the community this morning as people gather together to show their respects. We've been through this over the past couple of years with different officers who have fallen in the line of duty. So it's nice to see. It's almost it's sombering to see this, but also it's nice to see the outpouring of support from our entire community, but also law enforcement agencies coming together as well. And
here's a look at the marquees spread across the Las Vegas Strip. You can see the support all across our Vegas Valley. This will be your opportunity as well if you're able to find an overpass along the route and pay your respects to Detective Terry through this procession. They're going to be moving through the area starting shortly here. We're going to take a look here at the live feed here. This is the family moving into Palm Mortuary on Cheyenne in downtown area.
Now we do know he was a husband to Stacy. Again, she described him as her best friend, someone she enjoyed spending time with. He also had 2 little boys as well. He's been described as just someone everybody wanted to be around, someone everyone in the community, not only his colleagues, also his friends, his family members, really appreciated and loved being around, describing him as someone with integrity and someone everyone respected. So this, again, a live look right now. You can see all the Metro officers outside as people continue to make their way into Palm Mortuary as we continue our coverage this morning of this beautiful procession. Unfortunate that this even had to happen, but it is a beautiful procession. It will be beautiful as we continue to make that coverage for you this morning.
You can see his what appeared to be his twin brother Joshua moving into the mortuary as well. They were said to be best friends. Anyone that has a sibling knows that bond, and even more so a twin brother, extremely close. Just to give you some background here on Justin Terry and where he's from, when he moved to Las Vegas, as you see his family moving in to pay their respects and all of the officers here. He's originally born in Medford, Oregon and raised in Southern California. He moved to Nevada in 2001 after getting his degree in criminal justice to make Nevada a better place and to help Nevadans make this a safer area. And also in his work, he was a detective assigned to the Homicide Sex Crimes Bureau, and he's been assigned to the Sexual Offender Apprehension Detail now for 7 years, just making a huge impact on trying to make our community a better place.
And we also know he loved giving back to the community. He was a leader in the Cops on Top Memorial. That's an annual hike where officers, families, and friends climb to the top of the tallest mountains here in our state to remember and honor fallen police officers. He also had a passion to serve the homeless community. You can see this in the program he started called Enduro Program. That's at the Southeast Area Command, making it possible for officers to ride motorcycles into areas that were hard to get to, again, in order to serve the homeless. And speaking on this hike, in the obituary page that's dedicated in his honor, there are more than 200 photos on that page provided by the family. And in a number of those photos, it shows him in the outdoors, enjoying with his family, barbecuing, going on hikes, spending time with his family as well. So that just shows his love for hiking, and then also his love for our community by going and giving back to several people here throughout the area as well. I do believe we want to get to one of our reporters right now. The procession should be making its way through your area right now. It looks like you have someone to talk to this morning as well. Okay, unfortunately, we aren't able to get to Alicia this morning. We will go back out to her. We will get back out to her as soon as we possibly can. Right now, though, we are leaving you with this live look at several Metro officers outside of Palm Mortuary, again in downtown.
We're going to try to get back to Alicia this morning. She is out there talking to supporters, those who are paying their respects for Detective Terry by the Las Vegas sign. Alicia, what can you tell us about what they're doing out there and how things are feeling?
And Kalina, it's a somber mood right now outside the Las Vegas, the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. Many people are here to show support for Detective Justin Terry, but I want to really quick right now introduce you to Wayne Wright. He's not even from Las Vegas, but he's seen the coverage about Detective Justin Terry, and you're here in support.
Yes, I am.
And why was it important to stop your vacation? You're from where?
Baltimore, Maryland. We got to take care of our cops. We got to take care of our cops and firefighters. They need all the support they can get because they get so little. And they're our only line of protection.
All right, Wayne, we want to thank you so much for once coming to our city and supporting Detective Justin Terry as the procession is coming through shortly. Kalina and Kelsey will be out here all morning until that procession does pass the Las Vegas sign, so we'll check back in with you a little bit later.
See people, having American flags waving out by the Las Vegas welcome sign, and taking another live look at the officers who are outside of Palm Mortuary this morning. The family inside, they are going to be starting the procession really any minute now. And just to give you an idea of where they'll be heading, from all the way downtown, down south through the 15 and towards Central Church in Henderson. You can see this is an idea of just how many officers and vehicles will be heading down the freeway. And it's a good reminder for drivers, in case you are hitting the road this morning, to pay your respects. Don't try to speed past the funeral procession, and it's a good idea to just let them go.
And in the past, when it comes to these processions, we have seen several different agencies show up to show their support in the past. Of course, we've had Metro, Henderson Police, NHP, extended first responders as well, different fire departments through the area. So we are going to continue to see the outpouring of support here as well. We do have a live look again right outside of Palm Mortuary. It looks like we just saw some officers put their helmets on. That could be an indication of the procession starting to begin. As we continue to watch this, I do want to go through some of the tweets. So this outpouring of support we're seeing today has begun essentially right when this happened, this tragic event happened. Clark County Commission Chairman saying, on behalf of all Clark County residents, we join the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in mourning the tragic death of Detective Terry. Also, the city of Las Vegas tweeting out before, thoughts are with Metro Police Department and the family and friends of Detective Terry. Let's take a live look right now. I believe we see the family coming out of the area that looks to be like Detective Justin Terry's twin brother. Also, possibly his wife in the back, possibly his sister, the kids, but family members right now coming out of Palm Mortuary as we wait again for the procession to begin. Finally, I want to go back to one of the tweets here. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department saying, we are mourning the loss of LVMPD Detective Justin Terry. He served this department for nearly 21 years in a variety of roles. That tweet going on to say they are heartbroken by this sudden loss, calling him a well-respected guardian of this community. And they also said they will honor his life and will never forget his dedication and service to all of us. Rest now, sir. We have the watch from here. law enforcement agencies, really like a brotherhood, a sisterhood, really impacts not only our department here, the Metropolitan Police Department, but also several agencies across our community, across the entire state, also the nation. When someone passes away in a department like this, it really makes an impact, kind of a ripple effect throughout everywhere.
Right now what you're seeing is they are preparing to bring Detective Terry's casket out, and the family going to be paying their respects here. Just to give you an idea, he leaves behind a wife, Stacy. He's a father to Sean and Jacob. He's an uncle, he's a twin, he's a brother-in-law. He is a dog dad to his dog Camper, and a friend to so many right here in this community. So what you're seeing now as they put the casket on this police vehicle, they're starting the procession again. To give you an idea of the route they're about to go on, members of local law enforcement, all agencies will be leading the way here. They're starting at Palm Mortuary in downtown Las Vegas. They'll be taking the 15, they'll be exiting on Sahara and driving down the Las Vegas Strip, and from there they are taking the 215 east to the US 95 into Henderson. And just some words of rule here for a funeral procession, in case you do see this as you hit the roads, to not cut off a procession or cut into a procession, or not to honk your car for the procession, just to pay your respects as this moves along in our community.
And this will be a long procession, a slow procession, again, that is meant to draw attention to the life and legacy of Detective Justin Terry, to honor him, with several law enforcement agencies coming together, also the community coming together to show their support. We do have different traffic cameras we will be taking throughout the morning as well, to show you angles of this procession making its way through the valley as the procession continues to head over to Central Church in Henderson. And as that procession leaves, we now want to go to our reporter Alyssa Bethencourt, who is live outside the mortuary. And Alyssa, this procession again meant to draw attention to honor Detective Justin Terry's life and legacy. What have you seen so far on your end, and what
Well, Kalina, you know, we just saw Justin Terry's family and friends and colleagues, all of them drive off from this mortuary, headed to that church over in Henderson. You can see some of the cars trailing behind me now, but side by side, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police officers were lined up. That was followed by Clark County Fire and Rescue, Nevada State Police, and even some members of the Reno Police Department are here today. Kalina and Kelsey, you guys were talking about this earlier. Unfortunate that something like this had to happen, but it is so beautiful to see these agencies come together to support Detective Justin Terry's family, friends, and obviously his colleagues during such a difficult time. Back out here, you're looking at all of those agencies living together. We're looking at Henderson Police, Clark County Fire trailing right behind, and as you guys mentioned, they are heading over to Central Christian Church in Henderson for Detective Justin Terry's memorial service. Again, just beautiful to see all of these agencies coming together to support his family during such a difficult time, and of course preparing to lay him to rest later today. For now, Kalina and Kelsey, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Alyssa, thank you. As fire crews also prepare for this procession, here's a live look at the 15 near Bonanza. We're going to be showing you, as we mentioned, different traffic cameras throughout the morning. And if you are just tuning in, we are honoring Detective Justin Terry, 45 years old. He had passed away on June 10th. He has been to Stacy and father to Sean and Jacob. He is a twin to brother Joshua, and they were reportedly best friends. We do have Abel Garcia, who is live at Central Church, where this procession will be ending. And Abel, how are they preparing for this, and what are you seeing there?
Yeah, most certainly, Kelsey and Kalina. It is another very difficult time and a very devastating situation. We are standing here at Central Church once again. As you both already know, about a year ago, we were here also for Trooper Micah May. Now here we are for Detective Justin Terry. And again, it's just always a very devastating time and a very difficult situation to be here for these men and women who have put their life on the line and who are constantly trying to keep us safe. So to see one of them go is something very, very difficult for our entire community to cope with. We just walked through the church ourselves as they're getting prepared. They're getting ready for his memorial service, and it is absolutely devastating. They say that these situations are so heartfelt, and it's great to see everybody gather together, but so difficult to see another great service member go. So we will be covering this entire procession here as they arrive to this church. We will have a bunch of guard members and all of law enforcement from all over Nevada and through all over the country will be here in support for Detective Justin Terry. Of course, we'll have that full coverage for you very, very soon. For now, I'll send it back to you.
Abel, thank you so much. Just the sheer volume of support we have seen so far with this procession and all the law enforcement agencies coming together has really been incredible to see. We want to give you this live look right now. This is the 15 at Bonanza, and you can see the procession making its way heading southbound on the 15 freeway. Let's just take a moment to look at this. Again, you are watching our live coverage here, remembering Detective Justin Terry. We do have our very own Alicia Patillo joining us live right now from the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. Alicia, the procession is expected to make its way close to where you are. What are you seeing on your end?
Kalina, we are waiting for that procession to pass. We can see flashing lights just a ways down. Right now, I am joined with John Wugby. He organized this event outside the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, and it's under my understanding that you knew Detective Justin Terry for 10 years, a decade. How would you describe Terry?
How could anyone describe this individual? I mean, an amazing friend, great husband, father, and just a remarkable police officer. I mean, he served this city for 21 years. The program he started, for the homeless, with the bike program, just absolutely amazing. This community has lost somebody very special. It hurts, because we're just getting over Trooper Micah May, and now Justin Terry. This stings.
I know it's a somber day, and you are filled with so many emotions, as so many in the community are. But how does it feel to see this type of support for Detective Terry?
I absolutely love this. I will bleed blue until the day I die. I love our LEO, our law enforcement, all of our first responders. I could have went to the service, and just been a face in the crowd, and just sat in the back and paid my respects. But I organized this to get as many people out here at the Las Vegas sign as possible, just to show the law enforcement and especially Justin's family, that we love you, that he's not going to be forgotten, and they're never alone.
John, thank you so much. We will be sticking, Kalina and Kelsey, we will be sticking right here until the procession comes this way. Back to you in the studio.
Alicia, thank you. Really powerful to hear the words from community members about just how much Detective Terry meant to them. This is a live look right now at our Mandalay Bay camera, and you can see in the distance here at MGM, at Aria, the marquees are paying respects to Detective Terry, saying thank you for your service to this community. Decades here in Las Vegas, making a difference here. And Detective Terry was just celebrated his 45th birthday. He's turned 45 years old on June 1st. We're also seeing tweets from areas like FBI Las Vegas just sending out their condolences, saying all of us at FBI Las Vegas send our deepest sympathy to the family, friends, and co-workers of Las Vegas Metro Police Detective Justin Terry. Today we stand in solidarity with our law enforcement partners to honor him. And this being his end of watch, we are seeing what a big difference and how much he has done for our community, how all the agencies are coming together to honor him. This is now the third Las Vegas Metro Police Metro Police Department officer to die in the line of duty since 2020. We saw Officer Jason Swanger. He died on June 24th, 2021. He died from COVID. Police Lieutenant Eric Lloyd died on July 29th, 2020. He also died from COVID complications. And we have seen time and time again the way that this community honors our law enforcement and says thank you for what a difference they've made in this community.
Detective Justin Terry, the first Metro officer to die in the line of duty this year. Speaking of the tweets, remember Governor Sisolak ordering flags at half-staff today in honor of Detective Justin Terry's life. The governor also saying Detective Terry served our community for more than 2 decades. We are endlessly grateful for his service and heartbroken at his death. Kathy and I joined the law enforcement community and so many more in mourning Detective Justin Terry, who was killed tragically. We're sending out our love and prayers to his family and friends during this difficult time, just echoing what an impact this detective had in our community, also echoing what a great person this young man was. We want to head out to Abel Garcia. He's joining us live now from Central Church in Henderson. The procession making its way to that area. Abel, good morning. What are you seeing so far on your end?
Yeah, most certainly, Kalina and Kelsey. We continue our coverage of such a very somber and very devastating day today. We, of course, are remembering the life of Detective Justin Terry. And as you can see right behind me, people are already gathering. We have tons of law enforcement agencies gathering together for this very difficult and emotional day. We see Metro Police right back here at the entrance as they are waiting to receive Detective Justin Terry and the entire procession as well. So again, just a very difficult situation. Right now, over there to our left, you can see that we also have Las Vegas Fire Department's already raising that big, beautiful red, white, and blue American flag as they are also embracing this wonderful time to really celebrate and to also remember who Justin Terry was and what he meant for our community. Of course, as we are talking to some of these individuals here who are just arriving for this memorial service, they say he was such an incredible man, always willing to help our community and to serve and give back and fight for what was right. So it is, of course, something that is very devastating, but many people are honored to have been able to have the opportunity to meet him. And again, that procession will be arriving here between 9 to 9:30. So of course, Kalina and Kelsey will be covering everything and letting you folks see that exact moment when that procession arrives here and all the different individuals who are here to receive him as well. I'll send it back to you.
Abel, thank you so much. And it is heartbreaking, but also heartwarming to see our community come together. And Kelsey, this family has been through so much when you really think about it. Just celebrated his birthday earlier this month, Father's Day, just this weekend, and today we are having this funeral service in his honor. We do have a map on your screen showing the procession route for you. So top of your screen, the procession left already Palm Mortuary in downtown. It's going to make its way on the 15 freeway heading southbound over to Sahara, then travel through Las Vegas Boulevard as it then makes its way through the 215, heading over to Central Church in Henderson. And Kelsey, you were live a while back for another procession, for another fallen officer. Now you're here in studio watching this unfold. It's one of those things where it makes you feel good to be part of a community like the one we live in here in Las Vegas, where so many people come together. But it also just really takes you back because this is a human being we're talking about, a father, a wonderful husband, a wonderful person who made an impact not only on his colleagues, on our community, but also friends and family members. No one has said a single negative thing about this person, just what a great human being he was, how he put everybody first, how he served our community with respect and integrity, and how they just wanted to be around him. That's who he was, and that really is the legacy he leaves behind.
And Kalina, you mentioned, unfortunately, we've seen these processions before, we've seen these funerals before, and they take a similar route to a very large service at Central Church. And the images are so powerful to see dozens and dozens of officers moving across our valley, heading towards the church where you see the fire departments holding up that big American flag. And as Abel was mentioning, the family, the friends, and the community celebrating the life of Detective Terry. We've talked a little bit about his work here in the Valley as a homicide sex crimes bureau detective and how he was on the sexual offender apprehension detail for 7 years, widely regarded as an expert in his field. He was also a sworn task officer for the U.S. Marshal's Office, and he did so many things beyond his typical duties as a detective. He was also on the Cops on Top Memorial Annual Hike. He was a leader in that, where family, friends climbed to the peaks of the tallest mountains in Nevada to remember fallen police officers. He also started the program, making it possible for officers to ride motorcycles into hard-to-reach locations to serve the homeless. And on top of that, his personal life, his family says that he absolutely dedicated all of his free time to his family and his friends. He enjoyed camping under the stars, barbecuing with family, and enjoying his home with his wife and his sons.
He just really sounded like just an all-around great human being and great person to be around. We want to get out to our very own reporter, Alicia Patillo. She is live by the Welcome to Las Vegas sign out there where people are lined up to honor fallen Detective Justin Terry. Alicia, good morning.
Good morning, Kalina and Kelsey. You can see behind me, people are standing here in support of Detective Justin Terry. He was with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department since 2001. You can see John over there with the the blue flag, has known Terry for 10 years. He described Terry as a remarkable man, a heartwarming man, a man that loved his community, a man that loved his family and his children. His career began working in the department's Homicide Sex Crimes Bureau, now Sexual Assault and Abuse Section. He also was assigned to the Sexual Offender Apprehension Detail, making him an expert in that field, and he often worked closely with the U.S. Marshal Task Force. During Terry's time at Metro, he started the Enduro program. You heard his friend John talking about that program, and that was at the Southeast Area Command, a program dedicated to making it possible for officers to ride their dirt bikes into hard-to-reach locations to assist the homeless. Again, John just spoke about that, and you can clearly see the flags flying. There's officers here, the fire department is here, and that procession is expected to be coming down shortly here next to the Las Vegas welcome sign. So we will be here live to bring you that as it flows through the Las Vegas welcome sign. Back to you, Kalina and Kelsey.
Alicia, thank you so much. We are taking another live look right now. You can see toward Las Vegas Boulevard, where you have officers there blocking part of the roadway. And as we zoom out here, you'll see that marquee there lit up with Detective Justin Terry's picture there. Another way our community honors his life and legacy today. Like we mentioned before, Justin Terry just seemed like a wonderful, wonderful person. Just celebrated his 45th birthday. His wife's name is Stacy. She described him as one of her favorite people to be around. He had 2 sons, Sean and Jacob, a twin brother named Joshua, also a dog dad to Camper. And we talked about this before, his service to the community, not only as a detective, but also with some of the charity work he was doing. One of those charities, Cops on Top Memorial, it's an annual hike where officers and families and friends, they climb to the top of the tallest mountains here in our state to remember and honor fallen police officers. He was a leader when it comes to that particular organization. And if you shift and look at the obituary dedicated to his life and legacy, you'll see more than 200 photos put on that website by his family, and nearly half of them, I looked through them, show him in the outdoors, show him hiking with his friends, with his family, with his kiddos, just enjoying his time there, barbecuing, really spending time with a family. So he just seemed like such a family man and such a great person for everyone to be around. Friends and family describing him as a role model, someone who always put other people first. Also saying that he had a natural presence about him that inspired you to be better, leaving a legacy for everyone to aspire to. Also saying he'll be an example of love, integrity, and selflessness for everyone who knew him. A lot of people took to that page to leave comments about what his life meant to them. Some people sharing their stories from growing up with him. Other people who didn't even know him, leaving some messages behind. One person writing, he was always a good friend, respected by all. He was a positive influence. That person also saying, wherever Justin was, everyone wanted to be around him. You were one of the great ones. Another person writing, Justin has the biggest heart, the kindest soul, and just a gentleman's mind. So as the community comes together like this to honor his life and legacy, the family really dealing with a tough month, celebrated his birthday at the beginning of the month. Also, Father's Day just happened. So hopefully this procession and the words from the entire community, quotes from officials, but also friends and family, leave them with a sense of peace, possibly even a sense of relief, knowing that so many people were touched by Detective Justin Terry's life.
Absolutely an amazing role model for his own sons, Sean and Jacob, and really for anyone who he showed, who he knew here in the community. I wanted to take another look here at where we expect this procession to go. This is a live look right now at the Las Vegas Strip, where they are expected to be exiting off of the 15, off the Sahara, then down the Las Vegas Strip. They'll be heading through this region here and then hopping onto the 215, heading towards Central Church in Henderson, and that is where you can expect to see that procession to move through. We're hoping to see that procession on traffic cameras all throughout the Vegas Valley, and they are such powerful scenes, lights and sirens of his brothers in law enforcement, brothers and sisters in law enforcement, here honoring him, honoring his life, and honoring the decades of service he poured into this Las Vegas community. Again, he moved here in 2001 to join Metro Police after getting a degree in criminal justice. He was raised in Southern California. And Kalina, you were talking about all of the pouring of comments and support from family and friends. That obituary also saying he still has friends from high school at 45 years old. It shows just how much of a great friend and great person he was to everyone who surrounded him and wanted to stay in his life, and now honoring him and celebrating the life he lived and what he's done for the community. We're going to check back in with Abel Garcia. He is at Central Church. That is where the funeral service will happen. And Abel, what are you seeing this morning?
Most certainly, Kelsey and Kalina. We are just here continuing to see a vast majority and a large majority of individuals continuing to come on by here for Detective Terry and be here to support his family and friends and everybody who knew him during these very difficult times. We want to go ahead and give you a look right now at that south entry where you can see lots of those people who are starting to gather. We have members from Metro, we have Nevada State Police here as well. It seems like we have family and friends here too who are gathering and getting ready to remember and honor the life of Detective Justin Terry. And right now over here to my other side as well, you can just continue to see where all those law enforcement members will be lining up very, very soon to receive that procession. Again, we have that beautiful American flag in the background right now, and we are just counting down those moments to finally receive that procession here at Central Church. I also want to show you guys very quickly, looking back at me now, we finally received a pamphlet with Detective Justin Terry on there as well. We have pictures of his family in there too, and just all of the different family and friends that have been supporting him throughout many of these years. And of course, Metro tells us they are very, very upset about the situation. It is a devastating day. Somebody who's been with Metro for more than 20 years, and they're saying goodbye to him today. Of course, we'll have that full procession coming up for you very soon. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Abel, thank you. It really is a devastating day, not only for the Metropolitan Police Department, also the family, the friends, our entire community. And we've seen the outpouring of support so far today, with several people sending their condolences on social media, also making statements live on air here as we continue to follow this procession. We do have a map for you this morning. Top of your screen, Palm Mortuary, that is in downtown. The procession left there already. That's where we have Alyssa Bethencourt, who was giving us live updates there. The procession will continue down the southbound 15 freeway as it makes its way towards Sahara, and then on to Las Vegas Boulevard. And this is a traffic camera of Las Vegas Boulevard where the procession will head through the area and continue as it makes its way over to Henderson, where we just saw Abel Garcia at Central Church, again in Henderson. Kelsey, you've been a part of this community, born and raised here. What is it like for you to see our community come together in this way? Because I'm still 3 years in and I'm blown away. I can't even imagine for you, knowing this is where you grew up. This is how you honor the legacy of someone like this who's made such a huge impact.
It gives you chills to think about, because we are so grateful for his service and for keeping our community safe and doing the important work that he does. And I think sometimes people who do not live in Las Vegas have the wrong idea of our community, that it's just Sin City. But these are moments that prove how strong our community is, how much we have come together. We have shown that time and time again with other officer funeral processions, with 1 October, the way that we have become so strong. This is a look at the funeral procession right now, moving past Harmon on Las Vegas Boulevard.
watching our procession coverage right now for Detective Justin Terry, who was killed in the line of duty on June 10th. This is a live look at the procession right now, making its way through different parts of the valley this morning as the community continues to come together to honor Detective Justin Terry's life and legacy. This is heading through the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, and you can see the long motorcade heading through this area, just really bringing the entire community together to honor his life and legacy. Just what a great person he was. More than 20 years serving our community with Metro, really making an impact in our community and also the lives of everyone who knew him.
Of Central Church, you can see agencies preparing to welcome the casket of Detective Justin Terry. His family, his friends, his colleagues, all going to Central Church on their way there to honor his life, to celebrate his life. You can see unmarked cars here with their lights going as they pass by the Fabulous Las Vegas welcome sign. We'll soon see his casket passing through as community members pay their respects here. The funeral expected to take place at Central Church, where we will see Sheriff Joe Lombardo, we'll see his family, we'll see his colleagues talking about experiences with Detective Terry and telling us what he's done to this or for this community and as a family member, as a friend.
It is pretty difficult not to get emotional watching this coverage right now. The procession for Detective Justin Terry making its way through our valley right now. You can see the casket on the back of that truck right now, carrying the casket over to Central Church in Henderson.
Right now, this is a live look at Central Church in Henderson. You can see here on your screen, Sheriff Joe Lombardo is there to pay his respects. He is there with all of Detective Justin Terry's colleagues and family and friends who will be attending a service filled with hundreds here who will be honoring the life of Detective Justin Terry, 45 years old, leaving behind a wife, Stacy, and 2 kids, Sean and Jacob, also his twin brother, Joshua. Again, this is the route they just took, starting at Palm Mortuary.
Started off at Palm Mortuary, headed down the 15 freeway southbound, heading over to Central Church, where the funeral will take place. Again, described as a loving person who put everyone else first, served our community for more than 20 years with Metro, did a lot to make this place a better community for us all to live in. Described as a good friend and respected by everyone. Really just seemed like an incredible man, incredible father, incredible husband, friend, colleague to, again, everyone who knew him. And even though this is heartbreaking to see, it is also heartwarming to see the community coming together the way it has to honor his legacy and life of Detective Justin Terry and everything he leaves behind. Also, we know that Metro and different law enforcement agencies will make a point to try to make sure the family is taken care of from here on out. We're leaving you now with our coverage of Detective Justin Terry's procession. That is his photo on your screen. We thank you so much for joining us and hope you'll continue to watch his services here this morning on our station, on our newscast, also on our digital streaming platforms as well.